For one end of summer in the 60s, Cincinnati was on edge. Someone had murdered a Westside family and there was no arrest. A half-century later, the Bricca family murders is still unsolved, making it a tri-state true crime.
It's the crime that shook the tri-state, a family seemingly murdered in cold blood. Jerry, Linda, and little Debbie Bricca were killed more than 50 years ago. The killer? Still a mystery. Let's back up to September 26, 1966, a quiet street in Green Township on the west side of Cincinnati. Jerry Bricca was last seen alive September 25, 1966, while he was bringing out his garbage cans. According to police reports on September 27th, concerned neighbors say they checked in on the Bricca family after noticing that newspapers began piling up in the driveway and the garbage cans still outside on the curb of the family house. During this time, the so-called Cincinnati Strangler had already killed 4 of his 7 victims. Because of this, law enforcement initially questioned whether the brutal slaying of the Bricca family was a robbery gone terribly wrong. But perhaps it was something more sinister. There'd been rumors that Linda Bricca was having an affair. Just a few days before the killings, Linda Bricca had taken up work with local veterinarian Fred Leininger. According to police reports, there was evidence that Leininger had been at the Bricca house. Hair samples were found at the scene of the crime, and tape from Jerry Bricca's face had come back from forensics as being medical or veterinary tape. Unfortunately, Leininger took his own life in 2004, although police never charged him with the Bricca murders. Though Linda Bricca was stabbed 6 times and Jerry Bricca stabbed 10, what was more shocking was the slaying of their 4-year-old daughter, her arms and legs completely out as if she were dragged away. Why kill the child? Popular thought was that the killer didn't want to leave any witnesses who could identify them, especially if the family knew the killer. So, what really happened? Was it a mob hit, a robbery, a Manson-like cult on a killing spree? Author JT Townsend, who was given access to the 500-page police dissection of the case, doesn't believe it was any of these. Townsend believes the killer can still be caught, and apparently so does law enforcement. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office issued a statement in 2010 saying they consider the Bricca family murders as an open cold case. Therefore, we will not comment on uncharged suspects. Since 1966, this case has been reviewed several times, physical evidence evaluated and submitted for testing as technology advances. To date, no one has been charged in the case. We will continue to work for closure of these brutal murders.
And with us now is JT Townsend himself, the author of Summer's Almost Gone. JT, thanks so much for talking to us this morning.
Why, it's an honor to be on with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So tell us what it was about the Bricca case that interested you, and ultimately turned into a book.
It's the most notorious cold case in Cincinnati history. I've been kind of an armchair detective, citizen sleuth for a number of years. I've looked at every cold case of note in this city. Bricca is the one. It's like our Sam Shepard case, if you're familiar with Cleveland. So this is the most notorious cold case. It generated more rumors, more speculation, more theories than probably all the other murder mysteries in Cincinnati combined. It's got everything. The workaholic husband, the glamorous wife, the beautiful little child. If this crime happened today, I think Dayline would be all over it.
Now, as I understand it, you actually grew up in the vicinity of the crime scene, fairly close. So how much of that do you remember?
I actually did not. I'm not a Westsider, but I've been obsessed with this case since the day it happened. I was in 7th grade. Had a horrible nightmare that the Bricca killer had got in our own house. And 55 years later, I'm still obsessed with this case, and I believe a solution could be close at hand.
Okay, so based on the case files, who do you think was the murderer here?
Well, we've got a lot of crazy theories, everything from the Zodiac to Ted Bundy to satanic cultists. I like to say murders are usually what they seem. The rumors from the beginning pointed to an adulterous affair by the wife. And it's a rumor mill that never really stopped going. And I think most of the evidence points to this being a personal cause homicide where the killer was emotionally involved with one or more of the victims. And again, the simplest theory is usually preferred, and in the Bricca case, I think we're really looking at a crime of passion, possibly an obsession that took a wrong turn into rage, or possibly trying to cover up the affair by a prominent suspect.
Wow. All right. Fascinating indeed. So if people want to pick up this book or any other of your books for that matter, how do they connect with you?
Well, Clyde, I'm going to hold this up. My website is www.jttownsend.com, and we are currently running a special. My phone's ringing.
Never fails, JT.
It never fails, and I thought I had it disconnected.
That's okay, though. We've got the website on the bottom of the screen there for folks, jttownsend.com, right?
If people use Cincy Lifestyle, lowercase one word, and the coupon code, $10 off. 450 pages, 140 images. If you live in Cincinnati and you haven't read this book, you really have to get it.
All right. And on that, we'll say thank you so much, JT, for joining us, and continued success, rather, with the book.
Great. Thank you, Clyde.
All right.